Hi all, this is Michael from Seagon. Welcome back. We're here to create the most performant you. What am I talking about today? Today I'm talking about the basis of all of this, the basis of our performant lifestyle. And what is that? Consistency. That's it. You can't do anything else without being consistent. It doesn't matter how big of an effort you give if that effort is done once. Honestly, over time, our body thanks us for being used. It's also one of those things where you use it or lose it. Well, you also improve only if you constantly improve. Little, mind breaker. No one cares about that one 10-hour workout you did every 6 months or about that one week you did right after New Year's. No one cares. That's why you should start today. And that's why you should start today with the amount that you can do consistently in food, in training, starting with one thing only, and adding a thing every day. And you know what? The best strategy might even be the absolute minimum every day. And this applies to athletes as well, right? To professional athletes. They got to where they are at because they did those things and they did the best they could for the last 10, 15, 20, 30 years in some cases. It takes a long time, and that's good. So we need to create habits and sustainable actions that we can repeat over years, not just days, years. I know. So you got to look at this as lifestyle. What does that mean? The rest of your life. Brilliant. Now, for those who are like, I want to be optimal and maximal, right? I 100% appreciate that. There is no reason to do the minimum necessary. However, it should be the maximum sustainable effort. What can I do today that I know I can do tomorrow, that I know I can do the day after, and I can repeat that for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks, right? 6 months. It needs to just be able to go on. Then I can slowly make that harder and harder and harder as I upgrade my new baseline, right? This applies to everyone, including the athlete who wants to learn the new skill, for example, or even the violinist, for example. So don't get discouraged is one thing because you're like, oh, but I want to make fast progress. And yes, however, we look at the long game, the progress will come. Because the big example in my head is if I do 1 minute workout today, right? Tomorrow I do 2 minutes. The day after I do 3 minutes. The day after I do 4 minutes. In a year, I'm doing 52 minutes. In 2 years, I'm doing 104 minutes, right? Now, that's not generally how we measure workouts, but the point remains. It stacks, it stacks. And, when you don't do a single minute of working out, all of a sudden doing 104 minutes sounds like a lot. But in 2 years, easy, easy stuff. Where it applies more to is for people who already train, is those people who want to add, for example, on bench press, big ego lift you want to add 5, 10 kilos, 20 kilos every time. It's like, okay, brilliant. How long can you do that for without getting injured and with being able to add it on and being able to complete the reps in good form? I don't know, if you're menace to society, maybe 6 months. How long would that be? That's like 25 weeks. So, that's a lot of added weight. However, you probably won't make it there, honestly. However, what you can do for those 6 months is you can add 1 kilo at a time. The reason you can't make there is injuries, overuse. Also, adding 5 kilos every time is very, very tiring. It's very exhausting and unsustainable. Also, in so many ways, let's be honest. So 1 kilo at a time instead. Let's say the more realistic addition of weight is, if I had 5 kilos or 10 kilos, I might be able to continue that for 10 weeks. Not a lot of time if you think about it. That's like, I don't know, 2 months, 2.5 months, maybe three, you know? Meanwhile, if I had 1 kilo a week, it'll take me, a year to add that amount on. However, my connective tissues will feel good. My cardio feel good. Every day I'll go in and I'll be confident I can lift the weight. My technique will remain sound, and I will, slowly increase my abilities. And over time, also refine technique, which is very important. And this is important at any level, right? So, and the thing is to think about is, let's say it's 1 kilo, and honestly, most of the time you can do more like 2.5 kilos. That's kind of my approach. There's periodization to be taken into account, but if you add 50 kilos in a year to your bench press, that's huge. That's amazing. And why not do it in the way that you feel confident going in every day and that you will do without getting injured, you know? Also, you can repeat that forever. You can't add a kilo a week for the rest of your life, but you can keep going in and adding those kilos up. Also, if you try to go too much in the head, you'll also burn out. Big thing to be considered. Right. So our choices should be the consistent ones, the ones we can repeat, and in no time they will add up. Now, what domains should our choices fall under? There's kind of two sides to that. There's the stimulus side and there's the recovery side. So the stimulus is the training itself. What do we need to do? We must create an environment, we must create a stimulus which is effective enough and stimulative enough to create the necessary changes in our body's systems for the specific goals we have. This is very important. So first of all, stimulative enough. That means, if I am a marathon runner, a 20-minute walk, not going to do anything for me, honestly. It might help me out. It's really nice and it'll stretch my muscles, but promote some blood flow. It's good for recovering, but it won't make me improve. And the flip side of that is, for somebody who's just at the beginning, anything, anything is better than the nothing you've been doing so far, or the nothing you've been doing so far. Just anything is. So doing, one set of push-ups, amazing. If you haven't done anything before, that's all you need. Then the next day you can add a set of squats, for example, bodyweight squats. That's all I mean. So the point is having a stimulus that is just stimulative enough to push our body forward, right? And then it must be specific as well. If I want to be a runner, I must run. Now, it's very cool to have a very heavy squat, right? Or bench press, but it doesn't matter if I want to become a marathon runner. I think the extreme example is I want to be a swimmer and I can handstand for 2 hours straight. I'm like, all right, very cool. How has that helped your swimming? And now, if you want to become generally healthy and stuff, you can add a lot of variation. You don't have to be very specific, but if you're trying to become really good at something, you need to work on that thing, and you need to work on things that align with that thing, and you need to generate the right stimuli, right? And we will talk about what kind of stimuli we can generate later on. Here we are still looking for small improvements over large improvements. Remember, consistency. Also, our body needs time to adapt, which we will get into now in a second. So the recovery process. This is, and the way I like to think about it is, allowing the stimulus that we gave our body to show itself, right? Because if we bury ourselves underground in the gym and then we don't eat, we don't sleep, we don't drink, we might die, honestly. A bit dramatic, but we might die. So it's very important that we allow our body the opportunity to recover in order to adapt and become stronger or faster or more endurant than it was before, right? It is very important. In general, there's kind of two main areas actually, which are nutrition and sleep. There are loads of other things to be looked at. However, those are two main areas. There's kind of one other important area, which is active recovery. Actually, staying active can be really useful for our body. Those are the main areas, though. There are then many, many smaller things, but honestly, I think it is important to look at the big things, not necessarily perfect them, but really work on them before moving on to other things. Right? Well, this covers the basics of any performant lifestyle, and that is consistency. So, in order to become most performant you, please subscribe, and we will talk in further depth about any concept I have covered today in the next videos. Thank you very much.